This is the Digital Trust Podcast. In every episode, we strive to bring support to those of you who serve on the front lines and in the trenches of data and technology. We endeavor to bring understanding to the under-resourced and underappreciated, help remove your stress, and provide relief to your pain. Welcome to the Digital Trust Podcast. Sit down with us as we give you hard-hitting advisory conversations to help you build digital trust with your stakeholders and clients, and actionable takeaways to help you become a digitally trustworthy organization.
Thank you once again for joining us on the Digital Trust Podcast. My name is Christian, and I have a very special guest today, none other than Mike Battistella, and he is the founder, I believe, and senior partner at Solutions Cubed, based in Mahwah, New Jersey on the East Coast, somewhere where I have visited before. And Mike, I'd like to welcome you to the podcast as well.
Christian, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this and appreciate all that you're doing to get the word out. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. Awesome. So let's get right into getting to know you a little bit just before we dive into the topics today. So the first topic is you. Mike, what would be 3 words that you would use to describe yourself? And one word I have comes to mind as well. It starts with the letter M.
Well, you didn't prep me with any of that, so I don't know what words to use, but I would say hardworking, tenacious, and I'm a faith-made man, a God-made man. That's what my wife says. And if you knew my real hardcore background, that would make a lot of sense to what I just said.
Yeah, I know we'll talk about that moving forward. The word that I would use is methodical, because I've heard you say it and I've seen it too. So
yeah.
Awesome. So of all of the things that you have done and the things that you do, whether it's IT or it's cybersecurity or it's educating or training, mentoring people, what is the thing that you're the most passionate about of all of the above things?
You know, interestingly enough, because if you asked me that 5 years ago, I would say, what really drove me was being an expert in my field, being recognized as, that guy knows his stuff. And I even would say with my clients, where I want to get them to, or the thing that I would love to hear from them is, God bless the day that we brought, Solutions Cubed in to help us with this.
Mm-hmm.
As I've gotten older and, matured in my career and the business has grown, I find that helping, not only helping organizations to be better, stronger with their IT, best practices, ITSM kind of things, but, more cyber resilient, more protected. Like literally just had a customer say yesterday, I need to know that I can sleep at night and know that we're secure, So that's really important to me, really helping clients against the threat that's out there. But what I'm really enjoying, Christian, is we have 8 interns with us this summer. I love helping young people get turned on to the areas of IT, because there's a number of different areas in IT that we dabble in, and a number of areas in cybersecurity. And to see, they're typically in their 3rd year going into their 4th year, or maybe their 4th year going into their master's program. And there's a lot of gaps, right? We're pumping out students that they've touched a lot of different things, but there's a lot of gaps. And then when they start to realize, and our internships really go deep in terms of the technologies that they touch, the areas of cyber that they're involved in, and to see the excitement and to have young people say, I was thinking about this, but now after this internship, I want to go here. That just is really just causing a lot of excitement in what we're doing.
I had a suspicion that that's what you would say. So my thoughts were accurate. Mike, you mentioned IT people and helping new IT people. And I would imagine you're helping a lot of IT people with your clients as well. Of your years in IT experience and what you're doing now, what have you come to discover about IT people in terms of their dynamics, challenges, stresses, their relationship with their organization, the leadership, the other departments, the staff, general job satisfaction? What are some of your observations there?
Christian, maybe we should have a podcast just on that because
Okay.
there's been a lot. There's been a lot, but I think the thing is that when people talk about IT, they typically think about break fix. Oh, you're an IT guy, break fix. There's a real important aspect of IT that says we, as IT professionals and as IT executives, we need a seat at the table, right? It's IT that enables the business.
Yes.
Without IT, you can't. So with IT folks, if they see themselves strictly as I got to keep everything up, or you know, we got to fix things when they're broken, they're really diminishing their own value. It's really we as IT professionals, we are enabling the business. Without what we do, the business doesn't function. And then even wrapping security around it. I kind of view IT as enabling the business and cybersecurity as being the protective blanket or the protective barrier to keep the business afloat and in business. What I see is a lot of times with executive leadership, I'm sorry to say, they don't necessarily see the value of it. They know they need it. It's kind of a required demon I have to deal with, but they don't necessarily put the money, budget, or emphasis behind it. Yet without that, their business doesn't move forward. And really, when you look at the threat landscape today, without a business that is enabled, functioning efficiently and effectively, which those two are diametrically opposed, right? Efficiency and
Mm-hmm.
effectiveness.
Mm.
Uh, Without that, they can't function very well. And even in the cyber world, it's really, sadly, it's not until they get hit that they realize just how important their cyber resilience is.
And understanding IT people, you're talking about doing a podcast just on that. So that's how we can make this episode today without an issue. So let's hover on that a little bit and look at IT people in terms of what motivates them. What are the motivating factors for them? And I guess part B to that is what type of a work environment could those business leaders create for
Mhm,
the
mhm.
IT person?
You have the IT person that just loves technology. They just they love technology. They want to learn. Those folks you got to have on a path where learning and training is a critical piece of what they do. Constantly feeding them new opportunities to learn new things. They just thrive on that. And that's a job keeper, right? That's a employee retention tool that organizations executives need to really understand. Then you
Mm-hmm.
have the others that they really see themselves as problem solvers. And so they want to get beyond the technology because the technology is just a piece of the problem solving. And you really want them involved in the
Yeah.
business discussions and understand
Yes.
what it is that the organization is trying to do because
Yes.
they're the thinkers that can pull the technology, the people, the process together to come up with a
Yes.
solution. That's
Yes.
that's really awesome. And the most enjoyable thing about IT folks that I see a lot is that a lot of them are musicians. Have you seen
Yes,
that?
I've seen that.
Both in
I have.
cyber and IT, there's a lot of musicians there, right? So
Yeah.
I got off of a phone call just before we got on, and I was with a partner of mine, and we just got into this whole discussion about jazz and the structure of jazz, the structure of blues, all this stuff. And we both agreed that there are so many IT folks that are musicians. And so why do I bring that up? You talk about motivating people, bringing joy into their job. So within organizations, they should be purposeful about taking those musicians and saying, we're going to have a Friday jam session, that just little things like that really motivate your employees.
I've heard peer groups as well, not necessarily music specific, but that is definitely a
Yeah.
cool idea as well. If truly enough of a high percentage of them indeed are musicians. Looking at those different demographics, right? And obviously, it's nice to be able to have those two groups working together and sometimes working together in the same person, in the same
Mhm.
body, of the same mind.
Yep.
How would you kind of guide IT folks um, to enable them to be more proactive and more strategic with IT as opposed to just kind of keeping the lights on and reactively supporting their organization, or in the case of an MSP, other organizations.
Yeah, I encourage not only my interns but employees and and I'm sure you've faced this too, as we've grown in our careers that people want to have us talk to their sons and daughters. They're thinking about a career in IT or a friend or relative, and so I find myself in that position a lot where I'm coaching younger people or providing career advice, and I say from an IT perspective, and it applies with cyber as well.
Hmm.
Combine that with business knowledge.
Yes,
I
yes,
had an individual who said to me, I came out of school as an electrical engineer and spent 5 years doing digital design, and I was trying to make that decision. Am I going to go down the master's in electrical engineering, or am I going to go to MBA?
hmm,
And I had someone in my life that I respected quite a bit, and he said, if you get your master's in electrical engineering, you're going to be a better electrical engineer.
yes,
And so maybe you'll be a better electrical engineer sooner, but over
hmm,
time in your career, you're going to gain that knowledge. But if you combine that technical knowledge and expertise with a business degree, now you can
yes,
speak the business language. And
yes,
I often tell my folks, the executives, for the most part, they don't speak geek. We do, but they don't. And so we, as technical professionals, we have to have the language of business so that we understand how business operates, and we can have those discussions and those conversations with the executives. Because if we understand what the business drivers are and we see the role that we play with those business drivers, we're going to be much more effective in helping the business move to the next level.
hmm,
If we are purely geeks, we are going to focus on technology. We're going to chase the proverbial silver ball, the newest ball that's out there. And we may be fantastic at what we do, but if we're not addressing business drivers and business
yes.
requirements, why are we doing it?
I have time, I think, to ask you one more question, and maybe it's a multi-part question, going back to how I perceive you, and the word that I'd use to describe you is methodical. Again, I think you've said that about yourself as well. How do you methodically approach helping a client on their IT journey? And obviously, security is adjacent to that, and we'll hopefully get to that conversation another day. How do you approach it in terms of those initial contextual questions and scoping information to
Mhm.
get them started on the right foot and dialed into the right destination? And then part B to that, how do you approach an IT assessment of an organization?
So yeah, I can answer that with one methodical answer.
I'm
By the
ready.
way, one of my new hires who was actually an intern with us for about 6 months before she joined us, and she joined as a leader. She had a number of years of experience before her master's in cybersecurity. Her one word would be perfectionist. She has seen the quality that I insist on, right? And a lot of
High
times I feel like
standards.
you can tell I'm totally off the question that you asked me. But she sees the quality I demand, and the reason is oftentimes that proposal or that document is the first thing that customer's going to see. So I want that quality to be, pristine. So I'm gonna throw perfectionist in there. So here's the journey. The client, being brought in the client because they have something that needs to be done. It's a problem, it's a requirement, there's something. So the biggest thing for me, Christian, is I want to understand desired state. What is it they're trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? Where are they trying to get to? Now, if we're talking about IT, desired state is typically some level of functionality or capability. If we're talking cyber, many, many times it's the desired state is, passing an audit, getting compliance in a certain area. So I want to understand what desired state looks like. And if I can help them get there, I can tell you, I say in many times, be it in email or in conversations, I am not a salesperson. I'm just not. Am I selling? Absolutely. I'm always selling because that's what we do as consultants in the world that we're in. But I am not a salesperson. I'm an educator. So I want to educate my client. I want to provide value in the conversation. And if I do that, I build credibility, and then they ask more questions, and then I build more credibility, right? So when I'm looking at reaching desired state, it's about understanding current state and then the requirements. And I have 6 categories of requirements. First being the business drivers. What is the business trying to accomplish? And if I can get to that level, again, if we don't understand that, why are we doing it? Then I go into technical requirements that those enable the business requirements. Then I hit usage requirements. How is this solution going to be used? That's what often is forgotten about. Then when I have that, now I get into product requirements. Based on product requirements, skill requirements, and training requirements. So first, understand current state, define desired state, understand all the requirements, and then give them a plan to reach desired state. So that's kind of our methodical
Thank you.
approach.
Yeah, I was going to say, thank you for your methodical and strategic approach to IT and IT maturity. That's great. And that brings us to the end of our time together today. We're going to have to wind it up, unfortunately, but we'll have to have you back for a security discussion soon. And there's some threads here that I'd like to pull on, even with what we've talked about so far. But I appreciate, Mike, you sharing your wisdom with us and with the IT community out there.
Thank you, Christian. I really enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Likewise. And thank you to all the viewers and listeners who have tuned into our conversation and being part of it. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Digital Trust Podcast.
Thanks for joining us today on the Digital Trust Podcast. If you found this conversation helpful, please share it with someone you care about. And if you'd like to receive our monthly newsletter, please click the link in the description to subscribe. And to put your mind at ease, our newsletter will include episode summaries with key points and actionable takeaways, plus a heads up on the upcoming episode guests. Rest assured, it won't be a spammy sales message, and we will never sell or share your information. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode.